790.0655. The wait is over. Greetings, friends. A lot has been happening in Florida lately regarding firearms. And what I want to emphasize is the difference, the huge difference it makes to have legislators who are willing to protect the right to carry and possess firearms, and also the right of the individual to defend themselves, to their personal defense. I know that in many countries this is very difficult. There are laws that prohibit a number of things having to do with guns. And in the United States, you know that the Constitution has a Second Amendment that says that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. In many countries, including here in the United States, we are taught that through a country's constitution, the government gives citizens the right to many things. However, it's quite the opposite, and I'd like this to be engraved in the minds of the people who can see me, who listen to me. It's quite the opposite. Through the Constitution, we, the people, place limits on the government. In other words, any government in a country, a democratic system or a republican system, the government is appointed by us through our votes. We choose those who govern us, right? So that they manage what is ours. In other words, the government belongs to the people, not the people to the government. And through the Constitution is how we are placing limits. We are telling the government, I don't allow you to do this. I don't allow you to do that. For example, I don't allow you to forbid me from expressing myself how I want. I don't allow you to forbid me from choosing the religion I want to practice. And here in the United States, there is also an amendment that says, I'm not going to allow you to forbid me from having firearms. And this creates a balance in what are the principles of freedom of a nation. That being said, then it is left to the states particularly to regulate that constitutional right. And that's why in the United States, each state has some laws that are different from one another. This law in the United States that says that when you go to buy a firearm, if you don't have a concealed carry permit, you need to wait 3 days in between, 3 days of business days. That is 3 business days in between before you can go pick it up. So, as that law stands now, today is June 12th of 2026, a person who is going to buy a firearm and doesn't have a concealed carry permit or isn't bringing a firearm to trade in, buys the gun they want, has to go through their background check anyway, and then when the background check is approved and they've made the purchase, they have to wait 3 days to be able to pick it up. If you have your carry permit or are bringing a firearm for trade-in, then you don't have to wait those 3 days. Immediately, right there at the counter, they hand over your firearm once it has been approved. The background check. So this law of a 3-day waiting period when a person buys a firearm was imposed in the year 1990. Back then, the legislature was not favorable to the right to individual defense and to having firearms. And of course, looking for a way to always control the issue of firearms, they imposed this law that you had to wait 3 days. Many people get confused thinking that those 3 days are for the background check, for it to be ready for all the information to arrive, but it really isn't. Especially nowadays when there are so many technological advances, and a background check is done in a minute. When the background check takes longer, it's because the Department of Law Enforcement in Florida, who are the ones who do this check, are very busy. Maybe there are many gun sales on the same day, and they can't process the background check, but that's a matter of minutes. In other words, those 3 days have nothing to do with the background check. I think it's unnecessary to have a 3-day waiting period. Really, from 1990 to this day, that hasn't made any difference in situations having to do with crimes or fights or anything of the sort. And that's why they are looking to eliminate those 3 waiting days. There is a big difference when in a country, in a state, the legislature favors the right to defense of every citizen, of every good citizen. And that's why in Florida, we are almost done with the 3 days. The law is approved. I think it's only waiting for the governor's signature. And I believe very soon our governor in Florida will sign it, and the 3-day waiting period will become history. I'm Jaime, president and founder of the AlphaCalibre Agency for Investigation, Security, Firearms Training, and Online Gunsmithing. Thank you very much, and see you next Saturday.